What is going on? I'm Mezzy, and this is the club's chat. We have our very first episode here today. In the very first part, we have the rising star at Razzlers Poet. We have the manager over at Ozone Ogie, and we also have Azzurri FC's Meberle. We have three of EGN's top keepers here to chat. Let's have the conversation. Right, we've got Poet. He is Razzler's first keeper. Azzurri's second?
Yeah, Azzurri's second, yeah.
Azzurri's second. I like that. How you been, man? You been good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's getting pretty hot, but it's good.
It is.
Game for AVPL in a couple of weeks.
AVPL, it's, what is it, about 2 weeks away now? It's going to be good, man. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So, backstory on Poet, about 6 months ago, you were on Xbox, is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's probably even less than 6 months ago, to be honest.
Wow.
I think I played the last AVPL before, how like they stopped the cross-gen kind of thing. They told PS4 players to go away and kind of like made it on the same night. That was the last AVPL that I played on Xbox, and then I came over here and played AVPL on here. So that's probably only like 4 months.
Yeah, and I was actually meant to play that Xbox too, and a lot of things happened in that time. But yeah, no, so I stayed on PlayStation. I was going to move over to Xbox as well. So you moved to PlayStation, and then I was confused because you were a fullback. You were a fullback at Black Label. You want to talk about your time there?
Yeah, the first. I just wanted to come over, man. Like I was actually a cam for Misfits on Xbox.
Man's got creative mind and all.
Yeah, exactly. And I came over with the help of like Snake News, got me a few trials, and like Brash and Beach shouted me out. And then I came over to PlayStation, and then I got like heaps of trials like off the bat, but like because I was a low pro, and it was a week out, I think, from like AVPL starting, so it was like super late notice.
Yeah.
And Black Label gave me a shot, and I played right back with like the worst pro. I had no clue. I've never played like the formation, and because when you practice on Xbox, there's no rivals, there's nothing, and it was like I played fullback, and like my first night I was coming up against like Creature and Ozilla, and I was like, whoa, it's crazy. But no, I played well enough for them to like give me a shot, and I stuck with them for the whole season, the AVPL season. But yeah, that were good. That were a good bunch of lads. It sucks that they're kind of like not playing this season, so I don't know really what's going on. But yeah.
Did you originally plan to move on from Black Label, or was it kind of just due to them taking a bit of a break?
Them giving me a shot off the bat, like taking a chance on me, and then me performing as well as I did for them in fullback, I was willing to stay. Like I was like when I started and when I got the first position, like first team position, I was just gonna stay with Black Label. But they then came to me, and I was over. I played the ECL on Xbox, and I was just mucking around with goalkeeping and then after like on FIFA 20, and I just loved the position. Like I played the position in real life.
Yeah.
I just naturally loved the position, and I was like, well, I want to do this on PlayStation. Like I'm willing to commit. If I was able to learn fullback as well as I could in a month, I wanted to do the same for goalkeeping. And that's what I did. I did the hiatus between FIFA 20 to FIFA 21, where everyone was dead. I was grinding in every single club I could get my hands on. Like PS, Xbox, I was just every single day. It was non-stop. Like goalkeeping only, like pure goalkeeping. I was at Ajax for a bit. I was at every single like.
You're a bit here and there. You're a bit everywhere, honestly.
Everywhere for a bit, and then but I didn't stay with Black Label because they had Mafia, who at the time was significantly better than me when I just started keeping.
Yeah.
And then they also signed Sir Deadpool, so they already had two goalkeepers that were significantly better than me. And I could never get out of the position when I was with them. It was always, oh, you're too good of a fullback. Why would you want to play somewhere else? And for me, I needed to leave in order to get the experience somewhere else.
I had that same experience as well. When I first started on EGN, I was a striker.
Right.
I would play in draft, and I remember this one goal I scored. It was fucking insane. Everyone was going crazy. And then I just kind of made the choice. I was like, honestly, fuck playing outfield. I wanted to make the move because, I tend to lag a fair bit with my internet. Like it was a bit here and there, a bit shitty and whatnot. So I was like, if I'm playing keeper, I don't fucking have to do much, right? So I'm kind of like, spam a couple of sticks here and there, and you're right.
Yeah.
And I felt like just with that, I felt like I just kind of like got the groove of it. Is that kind of how you felt? You felt you just kind of got the hang of it?
It was. I was actually kind of the opposite. I was so shit for so long. Like it was like, why am I doing this? Like, am I really like, am I making a mistake here? But then towards the end of FIFA 20, I kind of started getting it, and I started getting some clips down. And then FIFA 21 turned around, and every goalkeeper hated it. Every keeper hated it. Everyone, I was looking at every YouTube channel that I could find. They're like, it's so shit. You can't stick spam. You got to time it. And I clicked. I don't know. I got it from the day dot. Like I just sat down because I was a grinder man, like all the way up to FIFA 21. And when FIFA 21 hit, when everyone wasn't grinding and they expected it to be the same, I was still grinding and still learning. So I wasn't that used to how old keeping was. So I just got used. I basically learned how it is now, and that's just what I've known. So that's why it's kind of like click. FIFA 21 has been really good for me as a goalkeeper. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, so you came over, and then you've obviously in the transition from 20 to FIFA 21, you went ahead and you managed your draft. You've done quite decently there, seeing the fact that it's the first comp you managed in.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was. Yeah, I took it hella seriously. I've actually on my desk right now. I'm so bad for it, but I've still got like the list of who I want to pick.
I love that.
Yeah, I've still got like I had a person for every round, and then my first pick, Damo. I knew I was gonna pick him because of how crap a pick I got. Like I got like 27th or something like that.
Yeah.
Or yeah, 17th. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I was like, I messaged him, and I'm like, do you want a striker partner? Like I messaged every person that I wanted, and I was like, well, look, if I'm gonna pick you, do you want to play with someone? So they had that chemistry. That's how I wanted to kind of attack the draft because I was that new that I didn't know who was friends with who. Like
it's a pretty good tactic.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like I didn't want to pick people that I didn't know had beef with each other because obviously they're not going to play well. They're not going to enjoy the draft. And we went undefeated until the last game of the whole regular season. Like we were undefeated. We conceded like 2 goals.
Wow.
And then we lost like 4-1 to Leeds. But yeah, Leeds won it. So there you go. But yeah, we made the quarters and
won it. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly. We made the quarters. We versed, I think we versed Jules' team, the Man City, but I couldn't make the quarters because I had a soccer match on Monday night, and I like was checking the score I was flipping the Damo stream every night, and like the whole night, every time I I was getting like water and stuff. But I don't know, they just lost from a shitty AI goalkeeper. So
yeah,
I think. If I was there, we probably would have made it a bit further than what we did. We didn't really get that much credit for like how good of a team we were. But yeah,
it looked like a pretty solid team on paper. I got to admit, I looked at that team and I was like, this is actually quite stacked.
It was a pretty stacked team, all things considered. But yeah, I don't think I'd manage to draft again. I don't know. I kind of want to be in that stacked team. The only reason I did it the first time was because there was only like 2 managers in the draft that knew me, and they were like, I'll pick you. But I didn't trust their decisions on who to pick as well. So I was like, I don't really want to go to your team and not have a good chance at winning this thing because I want to win it. Like, I want to win everything that I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a good like mentality to have. You want to go ahead and you want to, be in that kind of set that you want to win. You want to win everything that you're in. And you think about it, you've only been on the site for what, maybe like less than 12 months, and you've done quite well with your success as far as Xbox and obviously making the transition over.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of good environments to win, like especially on Xbox. The ECL that we came second in, I played Ram for, which was very recent as well. There you go. But and then I think I won the manager, the second to managers, and I've played finals football a decent amount, but I guess it has been really recent coming into the scene, and I haven't really had that much opportunity to win. Like the comps that I've been in, I've played well enough for my liking, but now obviously that I'm becoming a goalkeeper, which I haven't played an AVPL in yet, and the only real competition that I played goalkeeper in was the draft. We went so well. I'm looking at maybe getting a few more accolades for myself. Like that's my ambition, at least this far.
Oh, I can agree 100%. Yeah, that was my mindset going into last AVPL. I actually hadn't won a single thing, and I was kind of like, oh, I need to do something here. Last season was my first season with FFA, and I was like, I got to do something here. People were looking at me and kind of going, who's Mezzi? You know, he's going up against all these other decent keepers, and it's like, oh, you know, who's that guy? He's got nothing to his name, and he's played in a couple of Div 2 comps, and that's that. So I know that 100%. That's kind of like, it's a weird mindset to have, but I think if you've got the you've got the right mindset to go into it, and you've got the good mind frame, I think you're definitely going to succeed if you've got that going for you.
Not really about like I don't want to like sit here and like say like, yeah, I'm trying to be selfish and like I want the most saves in the AFL like that. That's not going to happen. It's more about like I just want to live up to the expectations I've got of myself. Like right now, I don't want to concede goals that I'm able to save. That's pretty much where I'm like where I'm at. Like if I concede a goal that I could have avoided, or if I'm like, oh, if I made this decision, that's where it's on me. And if that happens in like a game, I'm like, lads, that's my fault. Even though like Naylor might have skinned like 5 dudes and like had a far post shot, like I still could have stepped and still could have saved it. Like it's still savable for me, and that's what I want. Like I don't want to have to make 12 saves and get that Rivals Team of the Week badge, or get that like those accolades. They don't mean as much, because you could verse any team and make any amount of saves. It does not mean that you're one of the top keepers. I want to be one of those people that it's like 80% of the shots that I face and 90% of the shots that I face, and just me reading the game, me staying alert, is what makes the saves. And that's where I want to be at. Like I don't want to be at that for me personally, and then the rewards and the accolades will come later.
Yeah. And you've had that mindset going in, and now you had been picked up by Azzurri. You want to talk about that a little bit? How you got that trial there?
I was like, so the outside of the conventional like top 9, that there probably is top 10. There's I think it's like 14 or 15 registered to the AVPL. I can't really remember. But outside like the conventional top 8, top 9, there's a lot of teams that kind of the order can go at any point. Like anyone could beat any team in the ladder, and anyone could be at any spot. And I was in that framework. Like I was constantly trialing for like the Titan Esports, the firm. I was at Ajax for a bit. I was at, where else was I? Play Nation X, which was like ages ago. But I was just anywhere I could, anywhere that fit me in and that I liked, I was playing at. And I had that many options initially, because like there wasn't many good keepers for those clubs, and not many and all the top clubs had their keepers. So it was really up to me who I wanted to play for. And all the way up until the week before, I think it was the draft, or it was the week before of something, I had 2 offers. Like I had 2 offers, which was QO one night, like the same night, it was QO, and then like a couple hours later, it was Azzurri. And it was actually Meberle came to me and he's like, you've got till tonight to really decide. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I want you as my second goalkeeper, because I played Meb in the draft, and I played him in a lot of rivals matches, and I was keeping Azzurri to 0 points. And he was like, who are you? What are you doing? And then QO wanted me because they were deciding between Yoga and myself. And they didn't really know which way they were going to go, but ultimately they went to Yoga, and that I didn't know that night. But at like 11:59, I messaged Snitch and I'm like, I'll do it. I'll take the second GK, and I had to like write like, no, it's 11:59. Like I did it before the deadline, and he's like, yeah, all right, you're in. I'll add you to the chat. And then we went over some ground rules, obviously, like every club. And then I think I had my first Rivals night, because the agreement initially was that I would just play Rivals, and then I would be Mev's backup because his internet was a bit faulty at the time, and they wanted this person that they could bring in and have a shift. But I don't think they quite expected me to be as good as I might have been, because I came in and they're like, holy fuck, who are you? Like I was making the same saves as Meb, and they're like, oh, he's mini Meb, like it's cracked.
Yeah.
Like I was making heaps of saves with the Azzurri boys, and they were all like shocked. They were like, "What the fuck? I haven't even known. I don't even know this cunt." And I played one rivals night like the week of, and they were like, "Holy shit, this guy's something different." And yeah, that's pretty much how it's been. Like it's been that for like past couple of weeks. But yeah,
It's
and
insane.
and no, it was the Cross Gen Cup. It was the Cross Gen Cup. That's right. I'm getting that one. That's why I played it with Zuri, and I got to play like 6 games, and I wasn't supposed to play any. And I played the quarterfinals as well.
I'll tell you something. I've done a little bit of research. I don't know if you've actually known this. I went back and I had a look. Do you know that you're the first keeper other than Meb to actually play games for Azzurri in a competition?
I mean, I'm the second GK to ever play for Azzurri.
Correct.
That's
So
insane. I don't think.
there's been nobody else that's played. I went through their rivals. I went through their AVPLs and so on and so forth. They've had players listed as a keeper and whatnot, but there's not been actually technically a second keeper that's played other than yourself. And you've actually not only like played like 1 or 2 games, like you've actually played a decent amount of games, and you got into the quarterfinals with them. That's actually like a pretty decent achievement.
To be honest, I didn't even think about that. Although they are a short club, they've established in 2018, I'm pretty sure, or 2019. They're not that old,
Yeah.
but they have had previous keepers in the past, like second GKs alongside Meb. Yeah, I don't know. I do have a pretty good relationship with Meb though. Like we talk about a lot. Like we talk about different mechanics in game, and we talk about like personal lives as well. Like I really get along with Meb outside of just being like his backup. And I don't think it might. I think over time he's kind of seen me less as his like backup and more of like another person to train with, another member of the group.
Yeah. 100%.
And and like he said in posts and whatnot, like this is the next Azzurri legend, and I do see it that way. Like I do see staying with this club and having a career with Azzurri, even as Meb second or however long it takes to live up to him. Like that's the goal, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And unfortunately, a bit unlucky as far as Azzurri and being knocked out in the quarterfinals. Definitely a bit of a unexpected result. I as well over at Greece mode, we didn't do that great either. So there was 2 shocking results both in the quarterfinals. Everyone's like, "Wait, Azzurri's out. Yeah, Greece mode's out too. Like, what's going on?"
Honestly, if I could put my 2 cents to it on the Cross Gen Cup, it was just a system with only a 1 game, like one and done kind of game mode. You can be the better team and still lose. Like no disrespect to QO, like I've got friends over there, like Amo and obviously like Snake Lizard plays there as well. Like they're really good players, but we had a lot of high quality chances. There was only 1 chance that I remember QO having, and Snitcher and I snuffed it, but that we had a lot of high quality chances where it like hit the post or Yoga turned into a goat. Yoga actually played insane. Like props to him. He had Dom very upset in the chat. He played insane. And I thought they could have won it. Like they could have won it all, but they got knocked out in the semis. But yeah, I think in the one and done format, even though you have the better chances, FIFA can just script it kind of slightly so you can't win.
Yeah.
And if the team like sees that we've really got the front foot and they just sit behind the ball and they can defend for a bit longer and not really worry about going forward, you kind of just send it to pens, and that's what happened to us, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened to you.
Yeah.
And then pens
same single one.
It's just a 50-50, and like you can blame pens as in like, oh, the goalkeeper predicted it well, or like the scorers didn't score. But like at the end of the day, man, pens is just it's
so AIDS, man.
To save all of them, it's ridiculous. I would prefer to save 1 penalty that's like game on the line than a penalty shootout. You've got more chance. Like it's just that's what it is.
100%. And I was feeling the pressure too. It came to penalty shootouts, and I couldn't save a single one, and everyone's just like pointing fingers at me, and I'm like, come on, boys, we had 120 minutes, and yet you're putting it on the keeper at the end.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, sometimes as a keeper, you have to take that blame, and you've got to kind of go, all right, that's where we accept our faults and whatnot. So then next thing, obviously, you have played at Azzurri. Now you've moved to Razzlers. how did the loan deal come about? Did you get approached or did they approach you?
I think, well, first of all, with Razzlers, I kind of wanted to be, if I was going to leave Azzurri and play first team GK, I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want to go to a tight, like, not to a tight knee sport, but you know what I mean? Like, to one of the outside of the top 8 contenders.
Yeah,
And I was looking at a few teams because that was when Chapter 2 was being discovered, being, like, created because Jetsy had left the keeper position and wanted to play outfield, and a few other people went across with him and created Chapter 2. And that was kind of an opportunity right as Snitcher and Meb were like, you can loan out if you want. It happened perfectly because that's exactly when I was looking for a team. Like I was able to go out on loan and go out for a first team choice. And it was between Razzlers and Chapter 2 because Jesse wasn't playing keeper now.
Yeah.
So I messaged both of them and I was like, hey, like, can I get a shot? And they came to me. I messaged Envy and I think I messaged Jetsy, and Envy replied first and he was like, hey man, come in for a trial at Razzlers, like we'll give you a shot, we'll give you the first team shot. And I'm pretty sure like I came in and I don't know, it just clicked. I don't really know what happened, to be honest, but we just didn't concede. We didn't concede for like the 3 whole trials that we played for. And I thought it was just the defense, man. The defense was insane. They made me look so good. But but yeah, they gave me a shot, and I had to like message Tons, and then I had to message Snitcher like to make sure that it's all right. Like if Snitcher wanted me, and like Meb's internet was buckling, and they needed me, I would have probably stayed at Azzurri for the season. But because Snitcher said it was fine, like I don't want to disrespect the Blues, but yeah, Snitcher said it was fine, and Meb is like kind of like my manager, and he's like, yeah, all right, you can go away, and that's kind of what I did, and I got lucky enough to potentially be in like one of the top AVPL teams as a first choice keeper as well. So it's worked out pretty like good for me, I guess.
And it's actually funny that we're chatting now because it actually came down between you and me as far as that spot was at Razzlers. Exactly. It was one of the nights I couldn't make it and I was at work and I seen you in and I was like, they need this guy. This guy needs to. I could see the potential and I need him to like, live up, and I kind of need him at a big team because I know as a keeper, I want to be challenged by as many keepers as I can be. And I see obviously with your uprise as far as the past couple of months, I was like, I was not mad at all. I was kind of like, oh, you know what? Actually, that's actually a pretty solid move.
At least it's this person. Yeah, they told me that it was between you and I. They said like, oh yeah, we were going to bring Mezzi in, but we just couldn't say no to you. That's like
100%. Exactly right.
And like to be compared to someone like Mezzi, it's kind of like a bit crazy, especially this early on.
Oh wow, thank you.
Because you're here, like dead ass. It's like it's pretty surreal because I used to look at like because I played in PlayStation X, and then there was because I played goalkeeper for them. It was like Mezzi was my above, you know what I mean? Like Mezzi was the above affiliate, and it was like wow. Like now that I'm being at the level or like at least getting towards the level, it's kind of like, wow, it's pretty surreal to be honest, considering how short of a time it is.
Yeah, 100%. I got a couple more questions. First question being, do you believe that you can fulfill the role that Jetsy has left at Razzlers?
Honestly, I think that I can. Yeah, I reckon I could. I reckon Jetsy's a good keeper, don't get me wrong. Jetsy he's pulled some incredible saves, especially in the cross gen. He won Razzlers the tournament, low key. Exactly. He how many saves did he make in the penalty shootout against you guys? It was insane.
It was like 2 or 3. It was insane.
Yeah, it was insane. It was at
that point in time, I could probably say it was pretty much him, it was Hectic, and it was Meb as the top 3 keepers just before I kind of came in. Jetsy, he's pretty insane as far as his goalkeeping, and he wants to obviously explore like the outfield now. Obviously, he's had a long time in goal.
Of course.
So, now that's what I mean. Him going outfield at Chapter 2, and then you've also had Tank Evans, who was one who was kind of starting to rise up as well. They've both come out field, so now it kind of gives a chance for someone like yourself to.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good point as well. I was also between Razzlers I was also going to Classic Esports. They wanted me as their goalkeeper and to replace Tank.
Yeah.
That's where I was also called into like as a loan, but ultimately I went to Razzlers. But back to Jetsy, I don't know, man. He's a really good keeper, and I just think in a team like Razzlers, in order to stand out, you have to make like the incredible saves because they don't leak many chances. Like the top teams, you don't go from an outside the 8 team who leaks maybe 5 or 6 half chances a game. Like the only chances that these top teams are leaking are the ones where like you don't have a chance to save. Like you've got like a 10% chance to save, and if you're a keeper that shines in the top 8 kind of top 4 teams, you're elite because you're making saves that are ridiculous. Like no one, you have to know where it's going to go. You have to predict the player. You have to know who's coming at you, like what their tendencies are, and especially this FIFA because it's so hard because you got to time it perfectly. You can't spam. You can't even guess the wrong way or you're not saving it. Like, and if you're an elite keeper and you're like the top 3 like Jetsy was, you have to really step up in big moments and although I've made a few top saves for Razzlers at the moment, there has been times where it's like they're just like the chances that they leak is just like no team can avoid it. Like the opposition beats you and that's just what happens. But I reckon I could do enough to win games. Like I do believe that I can win games in that. Not many keepers believe that. I reckon a lot of keepers believe that they can draw games maybe or like minimize the attackers. But I genuinely believe that I can win games in that.
It's a good mentality to have. I know that's what drives me. Started to drive me at the end of obviously last season, or sorry, at the start of last season. And it drives me up until this day. It's, if I can't win my team in the game, then what am I doing in my position? Am I seriously just holding the L1 button and, just kind of flicking sticks here and there? I wanna be a part of the team. I wanna, be able to, if I'm not pulling off 6, 7 saves, I want to be able to pull off 2 or 3 like class saves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So then I've got one final question. So obviously you're with Razzlers for this season. What can you expect for yourself? Do you believe that you can help them kind of maintain that kind of top position, obviously that they had in the Cross-Gen Cup? Are you aiming for a top 8 finish? What's the aim?
I think that Razzlers will be a very difficult team to beat this season. The Razzlers team that we've got now is nothing like the team that they had last AVPL. They are a completely different machine. But I've played in a lot, like I've said, I've played a lot of teams. I've club poured, as you would say, a lot. But this team is something different. Like they're creative. They push the ball forward. They give it to Azzurri. Like I'm in Azzurri chat and I'm in Razzlers chat, and Azzurri players were like, "We need to beat Razzlers tomorrow night. Rivals night, we're beating Razzlers."
That's exactly how Grease mode were as well.
Exactly. Like it's weird to have a team like Razzlers kind of just have this much like clout so quickly because they were a big team. Like they had some big names, but they've just grown so much momentum. And the Cross-Gen Cup really solidified how much they work and how much they grind. Because each of them are grind. It's like every night they'll come, like not every night, but like every Rivals night that we get on, there's almost a full 11 every single time. There's no one's like buckling. No one's not giving it 100% every single time. Like no one's mucking around. They all just give it. So I think that you're looking at maybe Razzlers finishing in top 4, to be honest.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that for myself, within the Razzlers team, I expect us to win like a team badge. I don't want this Razzlers team, like although I said I'm in it for myself as much as I am, like for my own self-worth and how much I'm contributing to the team, I'm more in it for the fact that Razzlers can win because I do believe that they can. They've won the Cross-Gen Cup. Although the final system was a bit whack, they still made it to the finals and they still beat top teams. And they were one of the only teams to actually beat a team by scoring. They beat Habibi by actually scoring goals. And that says a lot because all the other times it was apparently shootout. Like the whole final series. And Razzlers was the only team that actually gave it to them. And we picked up a lot of top players, and we still got our top core. And I think we'll surprise a lot of people. Like we're not going to be a team that we're difficult to beat. We're going to be one of those top like champion kind of teams that crap. we're worrying now. I think that's what it's going to be.
That's the way to have it. Thank you very much, Poet. It's good to hear from you. And we expect big things this season. So I think that you'll see a lot more of Poet. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
So today I am joined by Ozone's Ogie. Ogie, how are we today, mate?
Good, Mezzy. How you going, man?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for asking. So we've got the man himself. We've got the manager over at Ozone. How is things going with the reboot, the revamp?
It's going a lot better than it was at the start, to be honest with you. When we first started, things were a little bit shaky, and we had to rush to put together a team for the Cross-Gen Cup. And we had a few players that committed and then sort of jumped ship because we took a bit of a break after that competition.
Yeah.
But we've managed to put together a decent team, and we're sort of getting the chemistry back where it needs to be. So the boys are starting to link up quite well, which is starting to show over the last couple of nights. So we're getting it back at a level where we can compete for finals, which is what our goal is for AVPL.
That's good. Yeah, it's looking like a decent team on paper as well. So I'll go into Ogie's, background a little bit. He's had a few different comps. He's been on the EGN site for a bit now. He went to win Div 2 with Razzlers. You were part of that season 12 side. How did that come about? Did you get approached? Did you approach them?
Razzlers was a team that sort of 4 fairly close-knit mates put together as a project for something to stick around long term. But unfortunately, a little bit further down the track, a few things didn't work out and a few people didn't get along. So sort of after Div 2, we had different ideas on where we wanted the club to go and how we wanted the club to look. So that sort of fell apart per se. So that's when I went off and sort of did my own thing with El Toro. And I started my own club and I took a few players from there with me. But yeah, it was a bit of a project for something to be fairly long term. And like I said, it was with a group of friends, and I love those boys even to this day. We talk every now and then. But yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't work out in the long term. And I wish them well for AVPL.
Well, as you've mentioned, you said that it was an original, small knit idea, and it's obviously gone to be to a point where you wanted to aim for it to be long term. And look what's happened. They did take a little bit of a break, but now they're a side that they came fourth in season 16, and the side that they're putting together right now genuinely looking like they're going to be a top side this season. You did mention. Oh, you go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, they made some key signings in the likes of Kano, and they've managed to keep Darkin around for quite a long time now. I think he's become a backbone of that team. Blazen, obviously, he's got a world of management experience. He's been doing that for a long time, and he's got quite a good connection with a lot of the boys in that team as well. And then bringing on players like Golduso, I'm pretty sure, Goldini, whatever his name is, from Diablo, has sort of boosted the quality in there. And then there's a lot of players there that have got a lot of chemistry that have been playing together for a long time. So it's definitely a club with heaps of potential. And every season I've been saying they're the dark horse, and they sort of do well, but they don't meet their potential. So this year I'm tipping them to make the final. So we'll see what happens.
It'll be good to see, and I think that Razzlers is definitely going to be a team to definitely impress people, especially after last season. They done quite well as far as the normal season itself, and then the final series, unfortunately, getting eliminated pretty early on. You did obviously mention El Toro. El Toro was when you did go next, being your idea. It actually quite went well in your behalf. I think you guys came 6th or 7th. You did quite well. In fact, it was your first season. You went ahead and managed that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I started El Toro, like I said, after I left Razzlers, and I took a few boys across there with me, and we signed up for AVPL Div 1, probably in arguably what was probably one of the most difficult AVPL seasons that I've played since I've been on the site. Where there was a lot of teams with a lot of quality. We did actually finish 9th in that season. We missed out on finals. I think it was by about, 1 point at the end of it. And we kind of, I think the lack of experience came to light throughout that season. but I learned a lot along the way as a manager, and it really helped me grow and go on and do other things, which sort of led to me managing some draft teams and even getting into the EGN New South Wales team as the first choice goalkeeper. So it sort of helped me grow a lot more than I thought it would. So it was a good experience to have.
Yeah, and then definitely going on to obviously the club that you're at now. You go on to Ozone. Ozone being the club where you solidify yourself as definitely one of the top keepers on the side. To a team that was put together as an original esports idea, and backed by financial background, and had that backbone to be what was their aim to be one of the best teams to kind of dethrone your Diablo, kind of, put aside Azzurri. It was the aim to, be that top side. Unfortunately, not kind of getting to the finals. I think you got to the semis. They did quite well. You want to speak about your time there? You went ahead and you impressed a lot of people there as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Initially, that's a bit of a funny story. That I don't know how many people know, but I came in and trialed with Ozone, and I don't know if I did too well, and I actually didn't get selected. So I went back and sort of started El Toro again. So I went back to my roots and started El Toro, and they had, I think at the time it was Jetsy, if I recall well, was their first choice.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what happened there, but I think it was about a couple of days later, I got approached by Stilo, who was the manager at the time, and he said, "Look, things didn't work out. We want you back in as a first choice." And then, as you know, things kind of exploded from there. And it just went uphill, which was kind of good for me. In a way, as you said, it sort of put me out on the website, which is what I was trying to do for quite a long time anyway. But yeah, in terms of my time there, I think we had a lot of quality and a lot of good players, but I think at times people sort of went and did their own thing, and yeah, the chemistry was there, but there was a bit of personality as well that got in the way, which sort of cost us. I think we made semi-finals, and we did beat Azzurri in the first game, but then went on to lose the next two. And I guess the pressure of making the finals sort of told on the team, and it was sort of destined to fall apart after that, sadly. But yeah, it's back now, and I'm trying to make it a permanent thing on EGN. There's no secret there. There is financial components behind it and everything else. But yeah, it just takes a bit of time. Results leads to reward, and that's what we're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, and it's looking like a good side. Obviously, with your season 15, you would go on to win the Bronze Glove. You'd go to win the third highest clean sheets. It's quite a decent season from yourself, and you would also go on to win a Rivals Final Series with Ozone as well. At the time, I think they were known more for being the kind of club that would get on 5-6 nights a week and grind out pretty much from dawn till dusk. You know what I mean? From like 4 o'clock to like 11 o'clock at night. Nonetheless, it was a quality side. Obviously, speaking about quality, you go on to Quality Outfits for the next season. How do you describe your season there? Do you feel like you fulfilled a potential that you feel like you could have?
Look, the Quality Outfits season was a bit shaky for me. Like, I had my ups and I had my downs. I guess the Quality Outfits was sort of like a mixture of other players, and a majority of the players that left Ozone and went across there. I think it was a solid season. There wasn't as much pressure as there was when we were playing under the Ozone brand. I mean, when we were playing with Ozone, I don't know how many people know, but we were also competing in the Singapore League. So I was getting up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, playing games there with them, and then going to work at 4 o'clock. So I was getting only 2 hours sleep in between. But yeah, the season at Quality Outfits was good. The boys there, I have a lot of time and a lot of respect for, especially Connor, Nick, and a few of the other blokes that are there in that team. Definitely people who I'd play with all day, every day. But yeah, I got approached by Ozone management, and I got offered to start this back up per se. So I wanted to give it a shot and see what we can do, because one extra club on the site is definitely a good thing with EGN growing every day. So I thought to myself, why not give it a go?
Yeah, exactly right. You would then go on, as you mentioned earlier, you'd go on to the State of Origin season as well. You go on to win the series. And how does that feel? That was the first time that the State of Origin series had come back in some time. I think it had been a year or two. You would go on to, as mentioned, be the first choice keeper in that team, which looked like to be a stacked team. And how do you describe your time there as well? Do you feel like that well?
Well, I was shocked there, to be honest, because there's a lot of quality goalkeepers around on the site and in New South Wales, and I knew there'd be a lot of competition, and I had Madman there with me, and I said to Snitch and Gigi, who were running that at the time, I said, look, I'm happy to sort of split my time up with the boys and whatnot, but then we had a few games, particularly against Queensland, our bitter rivals, and I pulled off some big saves in a few of those games, which sort of led to a couple of wins, and that sort of cemented my spot in the starting lineup. And it just sort of went from there. It was a big experience for me playing alongside some of the best players on the site. I mean, I've always sort of had a mixture of some of the best players and then some of the players who are up and coming, but I never really played in a stacked team like that before, like your Diablo type, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a big learning experience for me, and honestly, Snitch and Gigi did a really good job at managing that. Just hearing their insight on how they want players to play and what they want players to do sort of helped me acquire some things that I now use in managing my own teams. So I couldn't thank them enough. It was a good experience.
Yeah, they're definitely good managers. I know I played with them just in the recent draft that went by, draft number, I think that's 8. I had them in my team, Sheffield United, Snitch and GG both, and I just know, they were both quite like, they knew what they were talking about as far as tactics and kind of how players need to play. They knew what they were talking about, and they've got a lot of experience there. And it's definitely improved yourself as well. Obviously, now you're kind of establishing yourself as one of the top keepers on the site. Now up there with Meb and Madman and all the other keepers up there as well. As mentioned, now you've gone on to revamp Ozone. Ozone now, I wouldn't say it's more of a stacked team as obviously it was originally, but I feel like I like the idea that you've done with it. You've built it more on some established players, and you've got a lot of up and coming players as well. Who would you say would be more of the up and coming stars in your team? Do you reckon?
I think one to watch, definitely, and if you go on our rivals games over the last couple of nights, you'll pick that up, is our striker Boutros, who we picked up from Div 2. He's probably scored roughly about 12, 13 goals against rivals teams over the last 3 nights. Some of those goals against some of the more difficult teams like your Foot Habibi and Quality Outfits and all of your established teams on there. He's a very confident player. He's somebody who sort of surprised me in a sense where he's not afraid to shoot and he's not afraid to take people on. Yeah. I think he's definitely one to watch, and he's definitely going to be someone who the big teams are going to be fighting for. I'm going to have a hell of a time trying to keep him at Ozone. So, he's definitely someone that I'm sort of earmarking as a future star on the website there. He's young. He's also fairly young. He's come up from Div 2. Nobody really knows too much about him. Yeah. So he's probably like our rising star per se.
I like that a lot. And I like that actually you've mentioned Boutros. I know when I started creating my content a little bit earlier on, I actually mentioned Boutros was one to watch as well. I had mentioned that he had actually been approached by a few of the bigger teams. He had been approached last season he'd been approached by FFA. He'd been approached by Empire, but he decided to go and harness that talent in Div 2, go on to win Div 2. And now obviously coming on to this Ozone team that's looking exciting. It's obviously looking kind of like roaring to go. I know rivals these past few weeks, the performances from Ozone themselves have actually been quite well. Do you feel that there's a chemistry building in that team? Do you feel like with the ABPL season coming up in 2 weeks, do you feel like the chemistry is at a point where you can be at a top 8 level?
Look, I got all the confidence in the world in my boys. When I said that I was going to start this club, my initial idea was I didn't want a club full of 11 people who were all amongst the best players on the site. I wanted to put a mixture of experience and a mixture of players who are up and coming and sort of help them grow with the club and sort of grow with us as a whole. I definitely think top 8 is realistic for us. Where we sit in that top 8, I still don't know, because our chemistry is still sort of coming together, and we have fluctuations where we'll have a few good nights and we'll have a few bad nights. But from experience from managing teams before, this is just something that's normal for a team that's still coming together. I've got all the confidence in the world, like I said, in all the players that are in the team. There's a lot of experienced players there too that are helping, and I'm fairly confident that we will surprise a fair few of the bigger teams on the site. And I've sort of been drilling that home with my players, and I've been encouraging confidence to take on the big teams, to get in their face and not back off and let them dictate the entire game. My strategy as a manager has always been to attack, and I'd rather lose 6-0 but attack the whole game than lose 1-0 but not have a shot on target. So that's just always been my sort of idea behind managing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's really good confidence to have. I know a few of I'm not going to say bottom tier teams, but the teams that aren't in the top 8 do have that mentality. I see it a fair bit where they kind of come up against the bigger teams, even whether it's rivals or whether it's AVPL, and they kind of go, oh, we've got this team, we've got, it can be anywhere from Ozone, it could be Quality Outfits, Azzurri, any of the top 8, and kind of go, oh, we've got that team, like, we're not going to be able to do anything. But it's good to know that you've got that confidence with the boys to go ahead and kind of go, oh, look, all right, let's work on our team chemistry. Let's go ahead and let's work on our building up a possession. Let's build up the attack as well. And obviously having Butros in that attack as well, I would have a lot of confidence as well. I want to go ahead and I want to ask a interesting question. I don't know what the answer might be to this. What inspired you to be a keeper in terms of pro clubs?
Honestly, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to be honest, because there's no point in trying to paint it any other way. I just wasn't good enough to play outfield, and that's just the reality of the situation. I sort of tried outfield a few times, and my skill level wasn't where everybody else's was. It was a few tiers below. So I thought to myself, look, if this isn't working for me, I've got to try something else. And in 2012, I started playing goalkeeper, and in my first, obviously I didn't know about rivals, so it was just with mates and online, and it went well, and it sort of just stuck from there. So since 2012 up until now, FIFA 21 goalkeeper has been where I've played, and it's just been a position that I enjoy playing. I like being able to see the play. I like being able to see how different players and how different teams attack and defend and what they do. And anybody who's played with me or who's played under me sort of knows I like to call a lot of the play from the back. So I can see what's going on. I can see what's happening. And I sort of like to move the team around based on that. And the boys take to that quite well, which is starting, like I said, is starting to show. So, keepers for me, unfortunately, I don't have the skill level to be outfield, which some of these boys have is crazy. Like how they play just amazes me in the tightest of spaces and with some of the best pressing teams on the site. So that's about it, to be honest with you.
I mean, to be honest, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, when you try and compare with all these guys that represent esports teams, all over the nation, and as well as you've got players that, they play foot on a consistent basis. They are consistently foot verified. It is quite hard to go ahead and make it into the positions of attack, midfield, and possibly even defense as well. I know there's a few people who do quite well as far as the level over there. I know myself, I started off outfield as well. I started as a striker, and then I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm at a level where these guys are. And then on top of that, my internet was like, oh, it's a bit here and there. So I was like, if I'm just going to be holding L1 and, I'm lagging, it's not going to cost the team much. I would go on myself to go ahead and try and better myself as a keeper. Do you have an inspiration as far as current keepers in the world? Have you been inspired by any keepers to go in the position? And are there any keepers in the world right now that impress you?
Well, see, me being a Chelsea fan, I'm always impressed by Chelsea's current keeper, Mendy. So,
love that.
He's sort of the inspiration at the moment. But on a global scale, and going back to like historic goalkeepers, Oliver Kahn has always been one of my favourite goalkeepers. He's always been one that I've always watched and followed. I mean, you have your classics like your Buffons and your Casillas and all of them, but Oliver Kahn was growing up was sort of like my idolised player in terms of the goalkeeper position. So yeah, he was my inspiration when I was younger, and at the moment I really like what Mendy's doing. He's up and coming, and I think he's going to grow to be one of the best keepers in the world. So it's exciting times ahead for Chelsea.
100%. I can see Chelsea fans starting to get, that confidence back. I mean, it's been a few seasons since they've won the league. And I know with Kepa it was a bit kind of shaky there, but I know now the fact that they've, got Mendy in, and they got him in for quite a cheap price too. Getting Mendy in is a huge confidence booster for Chelsea fans. I like the fact that you've mentioned Oliver Kahn. He's a very commanding goalkeeper. He's one of those that, he needs his defense to know kind of where they stand. I feel as though you are the keeper that goes ahead and I'm not going to say too commanding, but yeah, you are able to kind of command the play as far as, your defense and going ahead and helping out the team. It's always a good thing to have.
Oh yeah, look, I've starting off, and there will be people obviously watching this podcast, and people will have their own comments on myself, and I respect each and every one of their opinions. Starting off, when you say demanding, I was possibly too demanding, maybe even toxic to a degree. But being able to look back and put your hand up and say, yeah, I realized where I was going wrong, and I've sort of learned from that and evolved out of that and become a better manager and a better keeper I guess it's a strength to have.
Yeah.
Or leading and managing a group of 15 people who have got 15 different personalities can be one of the hardest things that you can do. I mean, going back to my job as well, you deal with different sorts of people every single day. So it's been one of those things that I've done a lot of growing and a lot of learning throughout. But I think a lot more people enjoy playing alongside and with me now than what they did maybe 1 or 2 years ago. So I guess if I could give any advice to anyone who's managing is, and I learned this from Snitch and Gigi, is always stay calm, even when the ship is sinking. Just stay calm, because there's always an upside.
Always. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask, where do you think Ozone lies in the next few seasons? Do you see them being a side that's going to stick around for a long time? Is this going to be a one-time reunion, or are we going to see the long-standing of Ozone Wolves?
Look, when I started the club, my idea behind it was to keep Ozone on the website as obviously a long-standing club. It's not all going to depend on me. Obviously, it's going to come down to the players in the team as well and how we do. As you can understand, if we have a very poor season and we finish quite low, that can sort of be detrimental to the confidence of the people who are in the team, and they may start looking for other options. So there is a little bit of pressure there, but the goal is definitely to keep the club around, hopefully do quite well, and see me personally when the season's finished. If we do well, my aim is to keep who I've got. I don't want to sort of go shopping and say, right now I need better players. I want to build the players that I do have in the team, and I want to stay loyal to them as they have to me, and sort of go from there. Now, how long that goes for, you never know. Life's quite unpredictable. I mean, things could happen that could take me away from the team. You never know. But yeah, we'll take it one step at a time. The goal is to stick around. Hopefully we can. I enjoy the site. I enjoy the game from time to time, not all the time because of the stupid animations, but we won't get into that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Ogie. Thank you very much for joining me today. Good talking to you again.
Thank you, Mezzy, and thanks everyone for listening, and good luck to everyone in AVPL. I'll see you guys on the pitch.
Thank you. We'll see you there. Thanks to Ogie. All right, so today I am joined by none other than Azzurri FC's Meberle. Meb, how are you today?
Yeah, good, man. How you going?
I'm good. Thank you for coming to chat. It is no secret that you are, without a doubt, one of the best keepers on the site, one of the best keepers that the site has seen. Want to talk a bit about you and talk a bit about your career so far in EGM.
So, as you know, I started at Quality Outfits.
Yep.
A club that wasn't too big. Known for banter, but the wrong banter, like starting stuff on the website, not getting along with everyone. So I've come from Kyo, where from a banter club to then going to King Gamers, I think. Yeah, then going to King Gamers, which was a step up from Kyo, obviously, as Asher being the manager, and better morals at the club, better teammates that take the game serious, unlike Kyo.
Yeah.
But then I ended up at Empire. That was another big step up, bigger than King Gamers.
Yeah.
Obviously having GG and all his morals and respect. You just got to watch out for those sort of things. And to going from Empire, and Azzurri was my next stop, I reckon. After that,
Azzurri was the next stop, and it's the current stop.
yeah,
You've had success. You've had success pretty much wherever you've gone, Meb. You've gone from Quality Outfits.
yeah,
Obviously a bit early on in your career, you played there, and you learn a bit in your first couple of seasons and whatnot. You would then go on to King Gamers. You would find success there. You would end up with the second highest clean sheets, resulting in a silver glove, and you would also go ahead with the club. I think you would finish second or third.
King Gamers. We'll run this up. Yeah, we finished second. Yeah.
Finish second, yeah.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Empire. Empire, no pun intended, was quite like an empire of a team. It was, it was built by GG, and GG's one of those guys who he knows what he wants from the team, and he has those morals in place. He knows kind of how to dictate the team and kind of get 11 people or even a full roster in general to work together to going ahead and to finding success. You would find success there with them.
Yeah.
You would go on to Azzurri, as obviously mentioned, and you're still with Azzurri now. Azzurri, what was the go there? Did you get approached, or was there an idea behind it?
Yeah. Well, when I was at Empire, at the end of the season, I was keen to stay with Empire, but all the other boys like Big Dom, Gil, Snitch, Brumo, they all wanted to start a club up together. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, I might as well just go give it a crack. And I went there, and it turned out to, we made the final in the first season. I think we lost in the first season, but the next two seasons was very good, so I ended up staying, and so here I am today.
You are today, and it's unreal the fact that Azzurri came together at the very start of FIFA 20. So you had a team some of you guys had played together, obviously in different clubs, but it was the first time you guys had played as a full squad.
Yeah.
And it's impressive the fact that you guys would go on to finish runners up to a dominant Diablo, obviously in their prime. During their dominant period where they would pretty much win everything that they were in, you would go runners up there, and then obviously it's no secret, a back-to-back season, season 15, season 16.
Yeah.
How does it feel, the fact that Azzurri was the team that was built to kind of dethrone Diablo, especially with their reputation and the quality of plays that they had there?
Yeah, well, we started up knowing that, we're most likely the club that we're going to knock out Diablo. Yeah. And we did that.
That's the way. And that's, it's a confidence to have. And I know definitely when I look at it from like an outside perspective, it's definitely a good confidence to have. And it's a huge motivation knowing the fact that you guys have, knocked off the most dominant team that pretty much our region of pro clubs has ever known. Azzurri now pretty much kind of stand, I would say, alone personally. I don't want to kind of sound biased, but I believe personally Azzurri kind of on a level compared to everyone else. So what motivates you guys now as a club to continue on coming into season 17?
Well, last season, obviously, we won ABPL, and, everybody starts to get a little, starts to get a big head of themselves saying, oh, we won it last season, we'll win it again this season easily, but it doesn't work like that. You can't just hop on the game once a week and just expect to win because we're Azzurri.
Yeah.
My mentality is, I still want to hop on a few nights a week, play, learn the game still, as, goalkeepers pretty different this FIFA compared to other FIFAs. So I still want to get on the game, play, grind, and hopefully to win more AVPLs coming up.
How have you found the transition in terms of keeping in FIFA 20 compared to the mechanics of FIFA 21? Have you found it to be a bit of a positive change, or have you found it to be a negative change? Do you want to describe that?
I think that it is a positive, but also a negative at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like because, the previous FIFAs, like sometimes you can spam and you'd get away with it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Now, this FIFA, you spam and your guy will just fall over. You get some weird cringe animation. And, But, I don't know. I feel like I still think it's a positive because, the goalkeepers that aren't, as good as us, for example, they're going to be spamming, so they're going to get AIDS animations.
Yeah, and it's something that I know personally myself, I feel like I've got to get on the game consistently to continue learning the mechanics. I feel like if I'm a person that gets on maybe once a week, you kind of can't expect results if you're not continuously attempting to better yourself. Do you feel like you're the same as that?
Yeah, like, for example, when was it? 2-3 weeks ago, Azzurri was on every night. We were grinding. I felt like, every shot at me I'd save. But then I haven't been on for a week. I jumped on last night and fucking, I've never felt so bad ever. My guy was just falling over. I don't know what was going on. I literally couldn't play the game.
Yeah.
I'm better off quitting and AI playing for me.
Honestly, man, that was me. When I made my move from FFA to Grease mode, I know with those guys, as good as they are, it is quite hard to be in an environment where you're only getting on once a week, and even when you do get on, it's only for competition games. Obviously, they competed in the Cross-Gen Cup. I don't want to diss those boys at all because, I've got a lot of love for them. But I feel as though, when I got on, we would get on for maybe one warm-up game if we were lucky, and then go straight to comp games. And other than that, I wouldn't play the game. So I know myself, I was consistently finding that I was making mistakes because I couldn't, perform at a level I felt like I could. So obviously, once this episode ends up coming out, people will know that I've already spoken to Poet. I spoke a fair bit to him. He mentions that he believes that you're a bit of a mentor to him. He says that you were one of the contributing factors that he came to Azzurri. Do you want to speak about the relationship you have with Poet and the story behind bringing him to Azzurri?
Yeah, well, last week or so, I told Snitch that I might not be as, I might not play as many games this AVPL coming up, and I feel like we should get another goalkeeper in. But I'm not sure if Poet's going to be with Azzurri this AVPL. He might go on loan somewhere, but he'll still be with Azzurri as a club. But I wanted to get another goalkeeper, and I thought, this Poet guy, I see him on every night. Every time we verse him on FIFA, he'd make saves, he'd get good animations. And then I was chatting to him one night, and he seemed like a good dude. So I was like, fuck it. I hit up Snitch and I said, I reckon we should get Poet in. We'll try him out for a couple nights, see if you guys like him. And then he jumped in one night, and I really liked how he was playing. He was talkative on the mic. He wasn't quiet and shy. He was very confident, and he's making good saves, and we just got along really well. I helped him. I helped him throughout the cup because he played in the cup that was 2 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah. Cup.
Yeah, he played in the cup, and he actually played very well. We lost to Keogh in penalties, but goalkeepers can't do much in penalties. But other than that, he had a good game, and that's why I brought him to Azzurri.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm gonna further that point that you mentioned in penalties. I probably shouldn't talk about myself. At the end of the day, you mentioned, and I can agree with the fact that keepers can't do a lot in penalties. It was a bit of a shock. I think a fair people would have thought, seeing both Azzurri and Grease Mode getting eliminated in the quarterfinals, both on penalties. Do you believe that the best of one series is, a bit outplayed? Do you prefer the best of three, or do you prefer the best of one?
Oh, well, in AVPL, obviously best of three, but I don't mind the games in the cup games because it's different. That's why more teams win, because they just force it to pens, and they win off penalties. But I don't mind either way. We played bad that night. If it was out of 3 games, obviously, I think we'd win. But yeah,
exactly right. And then obviously going back to Poet. He has now gone on loan to Razzlers, as he's mentioned to us. What do you expect from him this season? Do you expect him to live up to the potential that some people are setting up for him?
Yeah, well, I hope he does reach his potential that everyone thinks that he might get to. Well, hopefully he has a good season, first of all. And maybe next AVPL, if my life gets a bit busier and I'm not going to be on as much, then I reckon he can be the future for Azzurri.
I like that a lot. I have a lot of confidence in the words that you've given, especially knowing that Poet, definitely could live up to the potential. I've seen him play. I know that he's very bright, young talent. Dude, he knows what he's talking about. He knows kind of what he's doing. I've got a question. Being that you believe that you may be kind of slowing down as far as your EGN career is concerned, is there a possibility that we may see Meberle outfield?
Nah, I'm too old man for that fucking shit.
Too old, 100%.
Yeah. Nah, yeah. Well, sometimes I jump in at, I'll go to a random rivals club throughout the night and I'll just play outfield, run around, and I enjoy it. But there's nothing better than playing goalkeeper. I just love playing goalkeeper. I play in real life, I play on FIFA, and I just love being a goalkeeper.
Then do you enjoy kind of the perspective of obviously being able to take your career, your real life football career, kind of being able to translate that into FIFA as well?
Yeah, I think it does a little bit because you've got to have that common sense, and yeah.
I've asked this question before, obviously to a couple of the other guys. Is there a keeper that you look at, whether obviously in previous times or current? Are there any keepers that have inspired you to, obviously you've mentioned play keeper, whether it's FIFA or real life as well? Are there any keepers that kind of have inspired you, or you look at currently and kind of go, I feel like this guy represents myself, or it's kind of similar to myself?
It's a hard question. Well, through the EGN perspective, back in my day, the top goalkeepers, I'm not sure who they were. I think there was Hectic came in after me, I think, but I think there was Edobra.
Yeah, Edobra.
Back in the day. I thought he was really good back then because he was the only goalkeeper that I'd look up to. Oh yeah, and Dangerfield actually. Dangerfield. And there was another one. There was some goalkeepers. I can't remember their names now, but there's a few in EGN that I said, "Fuck, how good are these blokes? I'll never be able to, be as good as these guys."
Do you have anyone that you look at in terms of real life football?
Well, as of now, I love Alison Becker because
Yeah.
I'll kind of have his guy in pro clubs, and I go for Liverpool in real life. So Alisson is my number one.
100%.
But back in the day, it'd have to be Buffon.
Did you ever expect the success that you have now? Did you expect that when you first started, in terms of obviously back at your quality outfits days?
Nah, definitely not. When I was at Keogh, right, I was playing outfield. I had a couple of my mates in the club. I think I was playing Cam or some shit. And then my brother Nicolad kept saying, "Oh, everyone's getting annoyed at me because I was shit outfield." It's like, and we had a full lobby one night. It's like, "Oh, go goalkeeper, just try it out." And I went in the goalkeeper, and I just started making these saves, and then all from that night, I just started playing goalkeeper.
You've gone ahead and you've had a lot of success.
But yeah, and I didn't expect myself to get to where I am today, though. Win-wise, I thought I'd just, play the game for a little bit and stop, and not take it serious.
It ends up happening. Like, I know myself, when I first joined EGN, I was like, I'll play 1 or 2 comps and I'll see how it goes, whatever. And then next thing you know, you're kind of like, walked in and you kind of
onto it. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of this and there's all this going on and you're like, we're playing these people this night and so on and so forth. You've gone ahead, honestly, you've won everything. You've won your player of the months, you've won team of the weeks. You season 15, you went on to win the team of the season. Obviously, the same season you would win a league title as well as the league premier, I believe. Multiple accolades along the board. Another one I had a look at. You've kept you had silver glove in season 11 and 12, and then from 13 to 16 you kept a gold glove. So pretty much every season that you've played for the past 5 or 6 seasons, you've been up there in terms of like the most clean sheets. So my next question is, what's next for Meberle? What can we expect for these upcoming seasons, whether it's season 17 or any future comps?
I play for Azzurri, and obviously everyone in Azzurri wants to win another AVPL because we want to contend with Diablo. Because Diablo have, I think they've won 7 AVPLs, is it? Yeah,
or something around the
7 or 8. I think it's 7, but Azzurri are currently on 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, and obviously there'll be 3 AVPLs this FIFA, possibly. So if Azzurri can snag all 3, we're only 2 away from Diablo, and we could catch him, and hopefully we can.
So you believe that technically we could look at Azzurri FC to pretty much be the next best club in terms of historics for the future?
Yeah, that's where we want to get at. We don't want to hop on the game and just muck around. Hop on once a week. We still want to hop on and play and become best of all time.
Are there any keepers currently, whether it's been just recently or for the upcoming AVPL, that you are looking at? Is there anyone that impresses you?
Well, yourself, to be honest, because you got silver glove last season, was it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, you and I reckon Poet might challenge for Golden Glove next season. So yeah, we're gonna make sure we keep those clean sheets.
I got to keep those clean sheets, mate. It's all about the laundromat there.
It's rhyming. You got Big Dome in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. I was speaking to, as I said, the viewers will know I spoke to Poet as well. He's got Bambi and he's got Ecot over at Razzlers, and obviously yourself, you've got Big Dom and you've got Stitch in front of you. It's a very reassuring thing to have very good defense as well.
That if you have a good defense, you can win the final. Doesn't matter with the attack, I reckon, as long as the defense is there and you just have the right attackers. You don't need star attackers. If you just have the right attackers and play how the manager wants you to play, I think you could win AVPL.
100%. There was one great that once said, attack wins you matches, but defense wins you titles. Is that correct? Do you believe that's Sir Alex Ferguson?
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's definitely a good mindset to have. Final question. Is there anything else that you're looking at for this AVPL? Are there any sides that impress you, or any other talents that you're looking at and kind of going, this is one to watch?
Generals are starting to become good again. I think Empire folded, didn't they? Yeah, Empire's gone.
So it looks to be that they've merged into Foot Habibi, or they might be under a different name. I'm not 100% certain.
Team Foot Habibi, I reckon they'll be up there. Grismo, then they obviously folded, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The sneaky team, I reckon, next AVPL would be Razzlers. I've got a feeling about them. I don't know.
They definitely showed their promise during the Cross-Gen Cup. Initially started about them. They only conceded 2 goals in the entire comp, excluding penalty shootouts and whatnot. They're definitely a side that has improved from last AVPL. I know that the side last season was good, but the side that we're looking at currently, I believe that's the side that can possibly contend with Azzurri.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, that's all. Thank you, Meberle, for coming to chat.
That's all right.
It's always good to have a chat with you.
Yeah, all good, mate.
Thank you, and all the best for AVPL.
You too. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
'Cause the fresh sky